Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on the 17th of June. I think everybody attended yesterday's session. Very helpful. I certainly enjoyed it and look forward to another meeting. At this time, I'll turn the floor over to Dave Carmichael for some words in the invocation.
Okay, I got a little secret. In previous years of my life, I worked for a wonderful gentleman who's sitting 2 spaces over to my right now. He was the commissioner of the DOT with some 14,000 employees under him, and I was one of those. And I went to several luncheons where Harold was kind of the moderator, and a couple of times he gave the invocation. So my announcement is, I'm going to let Harold give the invocation.
He was really worried.
Did you see the look on his face? His head was craned around. It was like, what is it?
I'm early.
He was my boss, and I think highly of Harold and Nicole.
Amen.
Great.
You got a lot to live up to here.
All right, we ready? Okay. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day, and thank you, Lord, that we can gather and do the work of the citizens of our great community, Lord. And Lord, as we sit here now, the decisions that we make, the things that are happening, we ask that they're pleasing in your sight. Lord, we ask you to bless the families that are represented around this table here and the community, and be with us through the day. We ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Harold. Everybody has in front of them the minutes from the May 20th meeting as well as yesterday's.
Give us just a couple seconds to look through yesterday's meeting.
Absolutely.
Nicely done, Miss Yolanda.
You good? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 20th and June 16 meeting.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, motion carries. All right. Terry, are you ready?
Financials, where are the financials? Oh, did you distribute them?
we
Okay,
have
could you add approval of the financials to the agenda?
Absolutely.
We vertically left that off.
Can we put that right after yours?
No, right now, would be good.
Oh, okay, you want to do it right now?
I'll make a motion to approve the financials as of May 31, 2020.
Second.
Before we do that, if we can amend the agenda.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
prior to the airport director's report, we'll add in their approval of the finances.
Make a motion, we approve or amend the agenda as stated.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Yeah.
So I make a motion to accept the financials as of May 31, 2020.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, motion carries. We good? Terry, you got the floor.
So before I talk, I'd like to ask you to make one other agenda modification. We've right now got the ribbon cutting before executive session. Could we swap those so that the ribbon cutting will be the last action that we take? And then we can just close the meeting from there and everybody can go home. And I want to announce that the public is invited to that. That will be a formal part of this meeting. We're just going to take a quick tour over to the New Pilots Lounge. We're going to cut the ribbon for that. and open that for the use that it was intended, and we're excited about that. So you need to entertain a motion to modify the agenda for that purpose.
I will entertain a motion to modify the agenda to put the ribbon cutting for the 24/7 Pilots Lounge after our closed session for discussion of litigation and real estate.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and Terry, just a note, during that portion, if we do that, just any citizens we have just will need to be escorted, so can we get a responsible person for that?
They don't need to be escorted. We will go around.
Go around?
We'll go around and we'll park in front of the office building, and we'll go in through the personnel gate.
Perfect. Y'all
So
know where
we
that's
won't
at.
be
Before they
driving
come.
on the airfield, we'll be driving on the
Y'all-
airport
Are y'all
property.
familiar with that?
The
If
main
you wanna come.
entrance? Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Okay?
Very well.
This is our last meeting of the fiscal year. It's kind of come and gone pretty quickly. But what a great year it has been. And we had a meeting yesterday that was a public meeting, publicly advertised, called meeting of this group and 3 others for the purpose of discussing economic development in this county. Dan, in particular, I want to thank you for setting that up. Dave Carmichael for helping set that up and contributing in a mighty way and making your staff available to set that up. We had 100% attendance. Every one of y'all showed up for that. And y'all are not paid, at least not for this job. And you've all got other things that you could have been doing. And the fact that all of y'all showed enough interest in representing this airport authority in such an important meeting really meant a lot to me. And I want to thank you, for me personally, to have had y'all supported us in such a good way. So thank you for that. Next thing I will highlight is the Pilots Lounge. I maintain a personal list of goals and a personal strategic plan that I don't share with anybody but me, just in case I decide to change it at the last minute or not do something that I had written down, but at least it keeps me accountable to me. And when I first took this job over 4 years ago now, that was one of the first things that I wrote down when I came in and evaluated where we were as an airport, is we need a 24/7 Pilots Lounge. We've talked about it for a long time. It has not been something that made the financial cut, unfortunately, until now. Those of you who are pilots in the room, Carrie and Dave in particular, you know how important this is. Every pilot, every student pilot, has to log a certain amount of night hours, some of which has to be solo, and every active pilot who desires to fly at night has to remain currency, which means they have to fly every, Carrie, I always forget the rate, 30 days, 90 days.
3 takeoff planes every night.
Yeah, three takeoff and landings to a full stop every 90 days. And so that means that pilots train at night. It's part of the FAA rules. And our airport was not set up to accommodate those pilots who were using this airport for that kind of training. Now we are. This is a very big deal for us, and I am very, very proud that we were able to pull this off this year. Is Randy in the room? He's off doing something. Randy's always doing something. Randy, there he is. He's guarding the door. Randy and Yolanda have worked with me side by side to get this done. I think y'all are going to be very impressed when you see it. Y'all have seen it in various stages of construction, but today you get to see the fulfillment of the vision that we've had for this. And I just couldn't be prouder of the support you've given me for that and my staff for the way they have really pulled together and made this happen. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my wife, who laid all the tile in there and did a great job, so make sure you brag on that the next time you see her. She worked until 3 a.m. night before last, finishing it up, and until 2 a.m. A couple of nights before that, getting it ready to put the final touches on. So kudos to her. Yes, sir.
I think it'd be interesting to the group if you would say how we get the word out to the pilots, that they can come
Oh,
here.
trust me, this word will get out. By word of mouth primarily. There's not really a NOTAM that you can publish for such a thing, but we've got our own flight school here. Yes, sir.
You could include it on AirNav. put it on there.
We could, but that comes up once a year for those kind of comments, so that'll be
Oh, just
next
once a
year. Yeah, before we can, but our comments actually go into GDOT, which then makes its way to AirNav. And we've just published that, a couple of months ago. So it'll be another few months before that gets out. But yes, eventually it will be there.
So they can do a low pass and just see the open.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so what else have we accomplished this year? The museum, Stacy was instrumental, Dave was instrumental in helping us land that deal. And several of y'all made the trip, Brian Stover, one of Tom's attorneys, several of us had a table at their gala last year, not the one that we just had here. And all of y'all really pulled together to help us land this very important tenant at this airport. And what they bring to this county, I mean, this county has a strategic vision for enhancing our footprint in the tourism area. And this is our contribution to that as an airport. We are never going to make a dime on this museum. Y'all know that, and we understand that. But this county will benefit in amazing ways for having this museum located here, and what they bring in camaraderie to the aviation community and their outreach and providing an educational tool that can be used for schools. Y'all have no idea how many daycare centers tour this airport in normal times. It hasn't happened in the last several months because of the coronavirus event. But in a normal summer, hardly a week goes by when the ninja who keeps disappearing out the door over there doesn't give a tour to a daycare center who comes through for their kids to get to come out and see an airport and airplanes and what have you. Now we've actually got something where they can go in and they can touch and feel and see close up what aviation has to
They're flying their planes in and out right now, aren't they? I mean, one of their guys took off yesterday while we were in the meeting.
Well, three of them
Really old
did.
plane, but, so they're
Yeah, but-
buying, they're buying fuel when they do
They are,
that. And
they
do-
are.
So we are making something on them.
Well, yeah, we're gonna,
Overall, but.
yeah, we're not gonna get rich off of them,
No,
though,
we're
that's
not.
for sure.
But it's not a zero-sum game either.
True, very true. And they do pay rent and all of those things, but this isn't the kind of tenant that is gonna put us on the map financially, but the other intangible things that they bring are very, very important for us.
Terry, they put us on the map as a destination.
Yes, absolutely. People will fly here. We have already had people fly in to look at the BTD destroyer, for example. And that was when they just had the one airplane here. So this is really big. I want to give kudos to Carrie Tidmore, who is the newest lifetime member of the museum and who has now signed up to be one of their pilots. And for those of y'all who don't know, he is a card-carrying ACE representative, which means that he is certified by the FAA to fly in air shows and to give demonstrations, something that he did in his military career and also in his civilian career afterwards. And so he is going to bring a huge asset to the museum, and that's an example of how this community will integrate into what's going on there. It only costs $30 to be an annual family member, and I encourage, what, is it 20 or 30? Okay, 20.
We get a discount.
All right, there you go, 20 or 30 bucks for an annual family membership, and I encourage all of you to do that. We need to represent our support for this local community activity.
How much is a lifetime membership?
You'll have to ask Carrie that. I can afford
I
lifetime.
was thinking about passing the plate. It's $500.
Okay.
Now, see, here's the thing. When you're a young guy like Carrie, that's a bargain. But when you do the return on investment thing, when you're mine and Dave Carmichael's age, that lifetime membership is not a good deal.
Is it transferable?
I will note that it does come with a lot of different types of benefits that you just need to get on, talk to the Pete O'Hare or get on the website, or I could even show you. But there's lots of things that it does give you as a member. So it's not just $500 drop in a bucket. Once you get to that level, they really bring you in, and there's different things that you can you can enjoy with your family too. And so, I mean, even if you're not a pilot, there's some flying in the aircraft that would be involved in that. So it's they need the funding, and for the rest of your life, you make that donation. I think it's a real good value, honestly.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, so consider that. So the petting zoo is now open. You may not know that, but they call it a soft opening. They're not advertising that it's open, but they have a volunteer there every day. And so on Thursdays, that volunteer is Gunnery Sergeant, what's his last name? Espy, yes. No, not Gill.
Sorry. Yeah.
I can't either, but anyway, he's a World War II B-29 waist gunner.
Yeah.
And if you want to spend the rest of the day hearing war stories, go over there on Thursday and get to meet him. He is a very interesting,
93, is that
94, he'll be 95 pretty soon, and he still drives himself here from Rome. So
We
watch
should all
out
be
on
so
the road.
lucky.
He
But
doesn't
just-
fly himself here, he drives
He's in
himself here.
shape.
He
He's got a
can
handshake.
fly. I assure you, if he wanted to, he could fly here. He's
That was the
in
gentleman we
great
had.
shape. Yes.
That's right.
He was the guy there the day you and I went up for the meeting.
Oh, I was your dog.
Yes, yes.
He's in-
I wasn't gonna bring that up. That's very close to that lifetime membership thing.
Out there might rear its ugly head.
Okay, so we also achieved this year the painting of the runway. Those of you who fly or have an opportunity to fly and can observe this runway from about 1,000 feet, it looks brand new now. Jacob Redwine is sitting behind me here. Most of y'all know that Jacob is our FAA-approved airport engineer. Every public airport has to have one. It's part of the affirmative action program of the federal government for keeping engineers employed. And Jacob happens to be a very good one. And we are proud to have Holt Engineering, his employer, as the firm that represents all of the requirements. You have no idea on this, the number of requirements that this airport has to meet in order to maintain its status as a public airport. If you step out this door and look on the door right next to the elevator, there's a piece of paper most of y'all have probably never noticed. That's our operating license that is granted to us by the state every year, which basically certifies our right to continue as a public airport. And this is the guy that makes sure that we meet all of the requirements to keep that active and moving forward and in good stead with the FAA and Georgia DOT, who manages airports in the state of Georgia under the block grant program, which is why we often talk about DOT when we really mean the FAA. And that's because DOT has the responsibility to service the non-commercial airports on behalf of the FAA and administer their block grant program in the state of Georgia. So great partnership there with both GDOT and Holt Engineering. Another partnership that has been recently demonstrated, EDO is going to make, they voted yesterday in their meeting, is going to make $75,000 available to us on a loan, 5 years, 2% interest. That's on the agenda to approve here coming up. And I want to again thank Dan for, Dan and I butted heads hard over this, didn't we, Dan?
We did.
But we got there. We got there with a good solution. Special thanks also, shout out to Brian Stover, Post 4 Commissioner, who is also the chairman of EDO and who has been a very strong supporter and a good friend of this airport. But doggone him, he's a hard-nosed businessman, just like Dan is, and makes us do things the right way. And if I ever wanted someone to look over my tax dollars that we submit, it's people like this that you want at the helm to guard the stewardship of our money. It would have been so easy to have said, okay, let's take Terry's easy solution that he's provided for us and get this done and be done with it. But instead, through a little bit of extra effort, we now have something that is over the course of the next 5 to 7 years going to save us thousands of dollars and tie us more closely together with our economic development group here in the county. Michael Hughes is not here today. Michael is now 4 months old on the job as the director of EDO. But boy, I think we're all really getting to know and appreciate the vision, the experience, the background that he brings to the table. And in his absence, I want to thank him for his role and contribution in helping make all of this happen. Dave is our chairman of the Board of Commissioners, who are the co-sponsors of this airport. That's been a hard thing for us to deal with over the past 5 or 6 years, where we have had co-sponsors at odds at an airport. That has given us great grief and trouble in front of the FAA, who has insisted that the airport must move forward together in lockstep, and we are now there. We now have a very strong working relationship with Sandy and Dave and the others, where, again, we don't get a blank check and we don't get everything we ask for, because I could ask for a lot. But they, again, being good stewards of the taxpayer money, they are balancing the expenses and the growth that we as airport builders want to see happen here, with their responsibility to responsibly manage the taxpayer money and make sure that we do things in a sensible, reasonable way, which is part of what this whole meeting yesterday was about, to make sure that we are all fully disclosing to each other and to the public what our visions are, what the plan is, how does it help all of us going forward. I thought the discussion yesterday about the tax money that the G650 is going to bring to the school system was very enlightening. We've talked a lot about how much money that is. What I don't think we've talked so much about is almost $300,000 of that drops straight into the Board of Education's tax bucket for education of children in this county, not to this airport, but into the Board of Education tax money every year for as long as we can convince that tenant to remain here. And
no kids attached.
No kids attached to that. So that's free money to them. And so my vision is to have 10 or 20 of those things as we look out in our terminal area expansion future. And we have a location here where we can have plenty of airplanes that size on this property and really eat into that 12% numbers. It's still 12%, Dave?
It's up a little bit, but.
Okay.
When you grow houses and grow business, you don't get.
Yeah, it's still hard to tilt those scales. But what we're talking about is the percentage of the tax burden that falls to the homeowner. Dirty little secret, the county loses money on homeowners. Y'all are well aware of that, I'm sure. And we tend to make money on the commercial tax base. And so in a county like ours, where we're off balance, out of kilter between the commercial side of things and the residential side of things, it makes it really tough to keep those budgets balanced, and keep those kids educated, keep those firemen on the job, all of the things that our tax money goes to support. And so things like this airport have the long-term potential. We know we're not there today. We know that we've got a lot of work to do, but we have a vision that sends us a long ways down that road to help offset the tax burden on the citizens of this community. So that's a shared vision that we have. Our flight school has graduated some students now. They soloed 2 yesterday. So they are doing really good. Best thing that ever happened to them was the coronavirus thing, because most of their instructors are bivocational, and they fly for airlines, and right now several of them are furloughed, and so they've got plenty of time to give instruction, and they've been really busy about trying to get new students coming in. And there are some young people who you now see coming through the terminal building, going out and getting into these 2 Grummans parked at the end of the ramp out here every day. I mean, they've been flying every day. I wish they bought more than 8 gallons of fuel at a time. That would be very helpful. Maybe someday they will give Gulfstream training. That would be a nice benefit for us. But for today, we'll take that 8 gallons at a shot. If they do it 100 times during the day, that still adds up to a meaningful number over the course of a month. So delighted to have them. And they have been really good for helping the image of this airport. And then lastly, I'll again give a shout out to Johnny Jenkins. Y'all never see Johnny. Johnny's a quiet, unassuming guy. Unless you walk over into a shop, you're probably not going to see him unless he's coming over here in his golf cart to try to find his mail that he can never seem to get delivered right, or a package that UPS dropped off here instead of over there. Other than that, him and his sons are going to be over there in his shop, and every time you drive by there and you look inside the small side of the big hangar where he moved, once we got that open, he's crammed full. And most of the time, Jared hates it because he's got 3 or 4 airplanes parked on the route, and Jared has to taxi around those planes to get to the runway. Great problem to have. And so that business is doing great. Just really exciting things that have been happening here over the years, or over the year. I've taken up a lot of time, but I thought it was important to have this little year-end closeout snapshot. Does anybody have any questions for me?
What's Johnny's business name?
Silver Comet Aviation. No, Silver Comet
That's correct.
Aviation, yeah.
I'd like to just put out a heads up on the Flight Museum. They are funded by sponsorships, and any of us who have contacts with businesses in the county, with friendships, we need to be able to take them to one of those locations. Aerospace Fabricators of Georgia, Aerospace Fabricators,
Cafferty, people like that, yeah.
Art Ragstoll, he's an aviation enthusiast. It doesn't have to be an aviation-oriented business. It can be anything. Jim and Nick's, they're really good about community support. But they're not going to have the contacts, so we need to be prepared to walk them around and introduce them to people that could make this museum happen.
And another thing, they're a very unique 501c3. Most 501c3s beg for money for themselves. And they do, just like any other good charity. But they also beg for money for others. Their gala supported the Annie Shaw, the one that we had here Saturday night, supported the Annie Shaw Children's Institute, which is for disabled kids. And last year they raised tens of thousands of dollars for them. I don't know how much they've raised this year. But their heart is really in outreach as much as it is in reach. And they've got some pretty deep-pocketed members on their board, like Carrie Tidmore. So they can afford to give back to the community in interesting ways, and they do. So I've really enjoyed getting to know them, and I think they're going to do terrific things for us. Anything else for me? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Terry. All right, I want to entertain a motion to approve the acceptance of a loan from the Paulding Economic Development in the amount of $75,000 at 2% interest for 5 years for the completion of the Hangar 1 office space.
Second.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll entertain a motion to authorize the CEO to complete the tenant space build-out of Hangar 1 with the funds from the Paulding Economic Development.
So moved.
Motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries.
Make a motion to move into executive session
Is there a second?
Second.
for litigation and, real estate purposes. Sorry, Tom.
Okay,
Second.
there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll return shortly. Any opposed? Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Say hi, Elizabeth.
All right.
Everybody standing in There we go.
The remote.
on? The sign is
Open business.
So everybody go in and have a look. Public, please.
It's bigger than I remember, Terry. That's all you need, you know?
That's all you need.
Actually, have a tile job, so I couldn't call.
There you go.
For maximum occupancy limit.
Thank you, sir.
Didn't I say amiability? Oh, thank you.
I mean, that stuff don't come to the
How are you?
She did. She's very good.
You were the gopher, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm the towel man, the saw man.
Soon to be back.
Wow.
I do whatever she tells me to do on this stuff.
I'm sorry?
Is this it?
This is it.
This is it? Right here?
It's
This
just
is
a, it's just a small location for a couple pilots to come in, and take a nap, or wait on wait on who they're bringing in and out.
Yeah, there's a remote.
And it's open 24/7, so as they fly in.
Right, right.
But it's gate access control, so
This door over
regular
here.
public can't come in. You have
So
to
you
fly
notice
in
the
in
doorknob
order, and then
on
there's
that
no,
door? That's an
You can't.
emergency
Oh,
fire
okay.
exit for the people in the business center. They have to be able to get to this door. So from the other side, it's a doorknob that always opens and lets you through. It doesn't have a lock on it. But from this side, there's no doorknob, so you can't go that way. So you wouldn't run into the fire from this direction. You'd run into the fire from the front of that.
have you got a vending company that's gonna come out and put a snack machine in for us?
Yeah, Randy Incorporated, Randy Foster. We own the vending machine over there. We don't sell enough for any vending company to,
Well,
take
hopefully
on
that'll
this
change
account.
with the traffic.
well, we hope so.
Yeah, one diversion and it's gone.
So does the vending machine we have do
We
drinks
own it.
and snacks?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it-
one machine with drinks and snacks. We're gonna buy that same machine for over here.
Great.
So we'll have two of the same machine, or every time somebody wants a drink, I could have Randy bring the machine back and forth. Leave it here at night.
Put it on a generator, plug it up in the pickup.
Where does the camera go? Where does it, for the data for the camera?
So the camera is tied into our security system, and it displays in our office, as well as being recorded in a secret location.
Does it, when motion happens, it begins recording?
No, it records 24/7.
Okay.
So it's on an endless loop,
Yeah.
so it records for like 2 months.
Do we already have a Wi-Fi repeater in this building?
No, I'm gonna put in a Wi-Fi repeater now. I've waited until, let's see, I think tomorrow actually is when our IT supplier, which is Love My Geek, comes out, and that's on their list to do, so they'll install
So
that.
Terry, is it possible for us to have them have to put their name and their email and some other things in there to log into the guest Wi-Fi so that we can begin to collect data about who's coming and using it and being able to direct market to
Not
them for other
really,
things?
not really, because, I don't know. That's an IT question. I'll find out.
I would think it's very simple to say name, company, and email. And we collect that data because obviously as we know people are flying in and out, and if you
I'll
find
look
somebody's
into it. I'll
flying in
ask
and out a
my
lot,
IT guy
and
if
we
we can
start
do that.
putting hangers.
Tail number.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there you go. Tell them.
Demographics for that.
Of course, most pilots are like me and Jared, and we're real picky on our personal data, so you'd get a lot of John Smiths with tail number 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well,
Just
you,
like you do
you gotta
with
put
ADSB.
you gotta put I think you gotta put a company name in.
Okay.
I'm not saying personal name, not a
Smith
pilot's name.
Incorporated. Yeah, I just know how we all do when we travel. People are funny about their personal information these days. So I'll check, but I think the answer is gonna be you're gonna get a lot of false data.
Just put it out there, make Dan happy.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
I need to report in session here.
Call it back to order, tell them what happened in executive.
Do we have a
session.
quorum?
Yeah. everybody's here.
Okay.
So we'll call the meeting back to order. I'll report in that we took no actions. We've taken no actions during the executive session other than approving the May 20th executive session meeting minutes. Thank you for showing us the pilot lounge. And at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting, close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, feel free to wander
you all
and
for
enjoy.
coming.
Yes.
This is awesome.
You're welcome.
We need